After we finished recording that episode, I recall saying something akin to, well, that's going to be a Reddit thread. And we should find a way to do promotion and remind people that we do a show or get new people in. Maybe a different way. But that's the most viewed episode we've had in a moment.
Nah. You know what's funny is I think I asked you. I was like, "What do you think? Was that too hard?"
Yeah, and I said no.
I forgot people were soft. People in esports are mega soft. But
dude,
you know, it is what it is. Let me just say that. So obviously there was a bit of drama about last episode, and let me just say, it didn't bother me in the slightest. You want to know why, Joey?
Why? Tell me why.
The Me Too movement numbed me to public opinion. I just, it was like I usually try and relate. I'm a very empathetic person, so I feel like I generally try and relate to community a lot. I always feel like people, if somebody has a problem with me, I want to know why, that sort of thing. And then the Me Too movement happened, and I just had this stark realization about how many people just have bad understandings, bad takes, or just bad people across the board. So, I'm numb to public opinion at this point. When I got flamed for being associated with Grant and being friends with Grant, and then also being flamed for outing Toby and being a snake. When two different sides were attacking me, I'm just like, all right, whatever. Public immunity ain't shit.
Are you telling me that you're going from basically the first thing we're gonna kick off is fuck those people?
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, here's the thing,
Double
Joey.
down.
I've been in a number of drama fights, and the thing is I don't typically start drama, but when people do something that really bothers me, I can't let it go, and I do feel the need to say something. I think it's actually quite a good trait most of the time, and this is something that bothered me. Somebody trying to get my friends fired over some stupid shit. Some shit that I think, this is my personal feelings, I'm not lying about this. I legitimately go back through, I review that entire thing, and I see very few problems with it. Only problem I actually think that it's weird because the broadcast is also the tournament organizer. So if you want to use that weird idea that we are representing Dream League, but that's clearly not the case when we are also actively flaming ESL or Dream League when we're on their show, and that's what they want too. Apparently we have not stepped over the line at all.
Interesting.
Apparently they are okay with criticism of the tournament. They're okay with us saying how we actually feel. There's a clip right now up of BSJ. They were talking about it. BSJ and Fogged and I were watching Navi versus Unique, and Navi had some horrendous item choices to borderline, if this was not a match that was important and was determined whether or not you would get into the major, legitimately there would be questions about match fixing. Just because
there's no way they
Navi
would.
Played so badly. No, there's
because they wanted to go to the major.
They want to go to the major, so there's absolutely no way that unless they're just flat out insane, there's no way that they could possibly be match fixing. But if this was some dog shit non-DPC tournament, 100% there'd be allegations of match fixing from that game. 100%, and it's and so we had a conversation back in the green room. BSJ's he's mad about this game. Fogged is super mad about this game, but he doesn't actually go as hard as BSJ does. In part because he's a good panelist, because BSJ went hard, so it doesn't make as much sense for somebody else to double down on that, So we have this conversation, and I'm telling them, if you genuinely feel a certain way, as long as your own motivations and what you're doing and saying these things are clean and you actually feel this way, 100%, go as hard as you want, because that is what analysts are for. If you genuinely feel like these plays were dog shit and this player was dog shit, like, fucking say it and say exactly why you think, just be prepared that you have like a long list of like, what you need to say. I said 100% go in, and he did, and apparently the community loved it, because I just checked it out just now, and a lot of people loved it. I thought it was a great bit of television where BSJ is just like fucking going ham on Na'Vi. He lists all the fucking reasons why he thinks our itemization was dog shit, and it was great fucking paneling. It was a great bit of TV for panels are so fucking ugh. Nobody cares about panels until you do something like that. Until you actually say like you feel really strongly about something and you say that,
It's true. How many panel clips have I seen? TV. How many panel clips have I seen over both TPC seasons that were like popular in some way, shape, or form? There's that one from today. Yeah. I guess there's, the Shiva interview with Alliance. There's probably like, Kyle getting his hair cut, or like something that's a bit, right? Like it's pretty minimal. Like you can only pull out a couple. I think it's
Kyle is usually the most popular panelist clipper, because he feels very strongly about things, so it is genuine. I would say he's a more polarizing person. Like whenever I view like, the Nigma incidents where he called them clowns or whatever, like I view that like that same thing in a very different light. But Kyle felt very strongly about it, and he obviously has a tendency for hyperbole and amping things up. But like, there's a reason why he's the most popular in that regard, because he is a very passionate person.
I think there is some validity to go back and like acknowledge a little bit of what was stirred up by what we said last time, because it did get me thinking about it, and I think that I align with you pretty close to completely. I'd say almost all the way. I think that there's a lot of people who were being soft about what you can and can't ask people.
There's drama going on. What? Did you ask the players about drama? Like, what? If there's, like, allegations, so, like, if there are any sort of allegations, no matter what it is, criminal, fucking cheating allegations, fucking just regular old, like, bullshit drama that's going on, like, of course sports players are going to be asked about those sort of things. Like, what?
Yeah.
Motherfucker, what?
I think it's
the same community that says you can't flame players, like, yikes.
I think it's really weird that a lot of people took that stance of like, well, why are you talking about anything else that's not the game? I inherently disagree with that. But upon analysis and talking to some other people, I do think that probably what I meant wasn't super clear last episode, because I might have not even been correct in my own assessment back then. I think what I should have said, if I wanted to be as clear and correct as possible, is that you should be able to ask a player whatever they want as long as your question is not defamatory.
Yeah.
So that you need to ask a question in a way that does not imply them being a guilty party. So I think that there is some responsibility on the person asking the question to do it in such a way that could either like, take the fifth, or dodge the question, or not answer the question, or answer it without implying guilt in the question. I think that's where it starts to get into a tricky situation. So I think that a lot of people, I shouldn't say a lot of people, I know that some people who like really analyzed the interview and like the questions that Shiva asked, like there was parts that could imply that Alliance was guilty of something.
Yeah, she's asking him in the heat of the moment. She didn't write out her questions or anything. And the worst question she asked by far was, "Is this allowed?" Which people like to be able to do this like long link between like you representing the tournament organizer, and you are essentially admins, and therefore as an admin you are somehow like accusing the player of doing something that is against the rules. It wasn't in the fucking rule book. That's why talent don't know, because it's not in the rule book. It was in an email chain that talent weren't a part of. So yeah, it's a genuine question. Like, is that allowed?
Yeah.
And Cheever's expecting, yeah, 100% it's allowed. It's there was an email chain that went out and like could clear that entire thing up. But you know, he
people will
he
still be
kinda
like, "Oh, but that's
stumbled in
not
that
on
regard.
limp to say that. You should just talk about the video game." And I don't know if it is on limp to say that. It's probably an option if he knows to say that. He probably would never say that because he doesn't want to expose his own team to something without like consulting people, right? I think that like a mild amount of more preparation from the interview could have resulted in like, I guess, a more politically correct question, which could have absolved any of that hairy situation where any guilt was implied.
Yeah.
So I think that there's like room for improvement there. But I still stand by you should be able to ask a player anything that is not in a defamatory statement.
Yeah. It's yeah. And then a lot of people like I know people had issues with my hardball question, which I didn't ask. But you know, it's a hardball question for a reason, because if he gives me an answer that is like, no, nobody else is using this coach thing, then I feel like that's pretty free game at that point in time. You're actively saying we're using an advantage that nobody else is, and we know that nobody else knows about it. And I think that's I'll stand by that till the end of the day. But you know, like I have a different opinion on this thing. I also think that if I was in that situation, I don't know what I would do if I was an alliance player in that situation. My players or management or whatever was like, hey, there's this new thing, came out on an email chain, let's use it. Even though I know that I've been to Valve tournaments and I have heard Valve multiple times say that they aren't a fan of coaches, that they won't do coaches inside of the game, that we have had drama in the past, going back to last TI, where VGJ asked if they could have a second coach in the room to a PGL admin, and the PGL admin said yes, it's fine, and then later Valve penalized them, saying that you should know better. There was that bit of drama. Stockholm Major had this problem going back to, what, 2019, 2018? That was a big problem where a similar thing happened. Some teams had coaches in their rooms, some teams didn't. And like, I know there are some coaches who literally took themselves out of the room intentionally because they knew, basically they said, unless Valve specifically tells me that I can stay in the room, I'm not going to be in here, because I know how they feel about it, you know? And that's an older player who's been to multiple Valve events. So I would hope that if I'm in that situation, I don't know what I would do, right? Maybe I would. Maybe I would go along with it. I think people like to assume what they would do, but you don't really know until you're in that situation. I would hope, though, that I would have a problem with this, because I mean, that is the way I view it. That I would ideally, if I think I'm as good a person as I am, I would hope that I'd be like, hey, we should talk to the other teams about this rule set, because it seems a little fishy. It seems a little weird.
So you're taking the OG Nigma secret.
I wouldn't go that hard.
DPG stance where they wouldn't do it, I think is what they were saying, or not.
Yeah,
saying.
I mean, I can understand why No Tail would be mad, because obviously he feels like he would be a person who would do that. I know I would never go so far as to No Tail calling them cheaters and stuff. Like, that was real fucking far.
Not apologizing still seems fucked up. I feel like he really missed the window to save a little bit of face there.
I'm not gonna apologize either. So I'm not gonna throw any shade on No Tail for not apologizing.
I think No Tail put himself in substantially hotter water than you did, though.
Oh yeah, for sure. But I mean, the thing is that like, I spoke out because I felt like it wasn't my job being threatened. It was other people's. And I spoke out because I thought that was wrong. I think it's a form of bullying, and I fucking hate bullying. I hate bullying. You know, a lot of people say like we bully Kyle all the time, but Kyle's like one of my best friends in the Dota group, you know? Like he's in like top 5 of my friends, you know? Like, so Yeah, you can bully your friends a bit, but like I also know how Kyle is. I know how he feels. Yeah, I've also told him like multiple times, like, hey, if we ever go over the line, you just let me know, that sort of thing. Like, so it's not bullying. It's friends who give each other shit, which is, Kyle does it back to me sometimes.
It's consensual
And
bullying.
yeah, it's consensual
Is
bullying.
it?
It's different.
God, Jesus Christ. People are gonna have a field day
But
already
yeah,
this first
I
15
mean,
minutes.
I feel like my friends are being bullied, one of which is Kyle. And so, yeah, I absolutely gonna fucking stand up and say something. And you know what? Fuck it. If a bunch of people fucking want to direct their hate towards me and instead of anybody else, whatever, man. I don't give a shit. It's all this sort of thing. The thing is, I've only interjected myself into bits of drama that I think my score is pretty good. You go back through my past line, right? It's like the worst thing that I ever did was the tweet about the remember the EU hub, and I put out a fucking tasteless tweet that was like, it's a shame when like you're more incentivized to like sit on a couch and play fucking Mario Party or some shit than actually do casting or whatever. And that it's a tweet that was bad and went out with no context, because the reason I was mad is that I heard there were people at the EU hub that like were complaining about the fact that they had to cast. And of course I'm there enjoying Dota, like working my ass off, like I'd love to be a part of the EU hub or the fucking BTS NA hub, but I'm working my ass trying to do these ESL ones, and like fucking I was sleeping like 4 hours a night because I was casting back to back to back ESL 1 finals and shit. Like I was literally sleeping in the office for like 2-3 hours, maybe 4 hours before I had to cast another game. So I was I was livid when I heard somebody complaining about, like, man, it really sucks I have to fucking actually cast.
Dude.
I was mad.
I just forgot, like, going through those Reddit threads, I'm like, oh man, I forgot that some people just don't like you. And like they come out of the woodworks when the opportunity persists. I feel like there's a non-zero number of people who just aren't a Cap fan and use this as an opportunity to remind the world that they're not a Cap fan.
Yeah, it is what it is. But like, the Chongqing Major, that was one of the bits of drama that I stood against. It's one of like the only times that like, it's the only time I've ever declined an event out of what I felt was some sort of principle that I was uncomfortable with as the situation. And I'll still stand by all of that. Even if Valve actually banned Cuckoo from that event, 100% I stand by that being a situation that was unfair. Now that Valve has set the precedent for banning people from events like that, I'm fine with it as long as it keeps going. But I feel like that was a totally unfair situation that was entirely predicated on the fact that Valve needed to be able to appease the Chinese scene, right? Mm-hmm. Even though like all these other players, none of them ever got banned for any of this shit, but like Cuckoo does. Long
history of it.
Yeah, Cuckoo's a dumbass for all of that, by the way. The fact he never like really apologized clearly is.
Did he never? Oh yeah, he never like. Didn't the org kind of?
He like did a half apology. Yeah, he basically his org did apology or something. It was pretty clear he didn't really feel that way. What else? The Toby stuff. When I came out against Toby, that's another bit of drama that I interjected myself in, that I felt very strongly about something, and I feel my record is pretty good. So I know history will bear this out.
Yeah, I think that a lot of people are nitpicking. I think a lot of people are doing some nitpicking.
Yeah, but when people are trying to be like, well, filing a complaint doesn't necessarily being fired. In Europe, we have very good regulations. Like, dog, we're freelancers. Like, we're maybe not going to get fired from this event. Guess what? The event's almost done. But getting rehired, that may be a problem. I don't think it will. I also don't really care if the attempt is successful or not. I find the motivation behind it. I feel that is what's scummy to me. I don't really care if you suck at getting people fired. I care that you tried to get somebody fired in the first place, and you've set a pattern of doing so. You tried to get somebody fired before this event. I know that's a pattern that is coming from you guys. Like, Of course I'm gonna get mad after like the third failed attempt of trying to get somebody fired.
So I think where some of the disconnect and some of that heat might come from is that you are steadfast in your opinion that this was not like a complaint filed in the sense of like, oh, I have a formal complaint. Here is my written email that you may or may not read about my complaint, which apparently I did a lot of learning is a thing that happens a lot in Europe that I guess I'm ignorant to. Apparently that's like common process to like file a complaint with like a system or organization or a party as a way to like solve grievances. So I can see why people would come to that defense, right? Of, oh, well, filing a complaint in Sweden that's just normal. That's just how our society works, right? But I think that there is a disconnect in what the intent of that complaint might be.
Yeah, I mean, I personally think the intent is scummy, just because I know that this is a pattern that's been sent. Now, I don't know what exactly like is in the complaint and all that sort of thing, so maybe I'm way off base. But again, if there's a pattern been sent, I highly doubt that pattern's being broken.
It does suck. Something that I wasn't a fan of, because, and this kind of speaks to how rumor mills work, is that because we/you were not explicit about the other complaint you mentioned, people assumed that complaint was tied to the predictions, which became number one on a Reddit thread, which then had to get debunked because that wasn't what was being complained about, and then that confused even more people. So
yeah, people added me about that, who were like, why didn't you clear this up? Because I didn't read the Reddit thread. I saw it was Jenkins told me that there was a Reddit thread up, and I was just like, all right, I'm not reading that. It's I think a bad idea for your mental health.
I think you would read it and be upset. I think that if you did read it or read it with someone else, there could be like some interesting points of discussion in there that you might be like interesting for you to like think through. But I think by and large, most of the stuff in there would just make you upset because you disagree with it, your mind's not going to change, and it's like mildly inflammatory. So
yeah.
Also, people called me ugly, so that's really my problem that I have with the show, right? That's really my problem with the complaint there, because there's all this stuff about you about Alliance.
I think it was you or Jenkins had added me. Fucking they copy pasted or screenshotted a Joey looks like a fucking trucker that kills hookers or some shit.
No, that was Jenkins. Jenkins sent that to you.
Dude, that is so fucked. Oh my god.
That whole comment thread was so interesting, but that's the one that got me because, you know, right?
Peter looks here like a trucker that makes roadside hookers disappear.
I also like had my hair all fucked up for the whole episode. So there was like a strand plastered across my forehead. So like it everything was bad. I was like in a tank top, which was like not attractive. Like, dude, real hit to the self-confidence. I think it's interesting. I think that we've come to an interesting point in this saga where like it's over. People understand what they are and aren't upset about. I think it was interesting when PPD was on stream and talking the other day. He's like, hey, Alliance didn't fire me, but they did hire me for this exact purpose, which is an interesting bit of information. And then the impending little drama about, you know, OG canceling scrims against Alliance after the incident, right?
Yep.
Which I think
they will not be the only team, from what I hear. Apparently, there's going to be more teams maybe doing that. We'll see.
I think that's really interesting, right? Because, you know, the community can have its own opinion about what is and isn't right, but ultimately that doesn't mean that, you know, OG or VP or Brame have to be like, well, fuck you, we just don't like you guys. Like, the community ultimately and the legality of what was right or wrong for Alliance to do doesn't stop people from not liking them internally. Right? Which could, and that was my first thought when this happened in the first place. Like, well, if there's no problem with what they're doing in the rule book, cool, right? You can't really get mad at them for that. But what it is going to do is it's going to put a scarlet letter on them internally. And there might not be a lot of people on Reddit or Twitter who see that, but that could manifest in not scrimming secret, right?
Yeah. No, the funniest, most ironic part of this is that they're literally called Alliance, and they are no longer a part of the unofficial alliance of teams working together to like make better rule sets and make player breaks and stuff like that. Like that is actually a shame that like that isn't more public, because I mean just that bit of irony is hilarious no matter like how you feel about the entire thing. That is like Shakespearean fucking irony on the dot. But yeah, that is something that I don't know. I kind of feel I don't really feel like the player should be punished that much for it, right? Because I almost feel like this is something that I have no idea to what extent this is going to go. I don't know how long this is going to go on. I don't know how many teams are not going to scrim with Alliance as a pseudo punishment or whatever. But like, I this is something that could affect them for like TI, and I don't feel like the players should be punished that harshly. Like they shouldn't be punished at all from a legal standpoint of like like Valve stepping in and disqualifying them or some shit. But like also in a social aspect, I'm not sure how much they should really be punished for this. I feel like it's a bit much. I don't know. Like the thing is that like the players are angry because there are people on Alliance who should know better. There are people who've been to multiple TI events. So S4, LOTA, right, PPD. I think the three of them are probably some of the most veteran players in the scene. So like some players are mad because they feel like they have people on there that should know better. It's not like it's like Brain, who only has like Spartan, who's ever been to the Boston Major. Right, it's not like a team who hasn't been to Valve events or anything like that. This is an experienced veteran team, or has experienced veteran people. But like the four other players, I'm not sure if you should really be punishing them that harshly. And I also don't think that. I mean, to be honest, like I think S4 is just a great guy. So like, I just don't see him like. Really, I don't imagine that if he pushes for this, is really thinking that he's finagling the system. So I
can make an argument both
like
ways, right? Like,
yeah.
I could very easily sit here and make an argument for punishing the players for, in theory, knowing better, whatever the fuck that means. Or I can also make an argument of like, well, it probably wasn't their choice. It was probably management's choice. And what are they going to do? Say, no, we're not going to play? No. Like,
yeah, I feel like taking him out and like like not working with them on like when it comes to the union of teams or whatever, like that affects management. But I feel like not scrimming with them, that affects the players, and that bothers me a little bit. I don't know how I feel about it.
We'll see. Maybe they'll just roll over with their results and they'll just keep on winning a bunch of stuff. And then jokes on everyone else, because then you're not scrimming with Alliance, right?
Yeah, you're not scrimming with one of the best teams who has a consistent playstyle that appears to be very strong this patch. So it may be the other team's loss in not being able to play against them. I guess we'll just see. Major will determine a lot, right? Alliance said they're going to switch up their playstyle, or at least have the option to be able to do so at the Major. And we'll see both how successful they are at that, and like in general how successful their idea of Dota is against international teams and stuff. Because obviously, like last season, Alliance was also good. Secret was good. Where did Secret place? They placed like 4th or something, right? Yeah, that's
like 5th, 6th maybe.
Enough. Did they really? Oof.
Because they lost to IG. Oh God. Who knocked them out of the tournament? LGD?
Hold up.
Did LGD knock them out in 4th place?
No. They placed 4th. They placed 4th. So that's good enough. But I would say that's more of the Secret factor. The fact, well, I guess Nigma had a stand-in, and then like Liquid ran through fucking wild cards and
blew their wad.
Yeah. So, and they still played 9 through 12. Yeah. I don't know. I was going to say that Europe like performed like shit at the Major and their play style was too fast and they didn't know that, and it only worked within their own region. And once they played up against international teams, they got exposed. But honestly, the results aren't even that terrible. It's just that Alliance choked and went out of groups. If it wasn't for that fact, you would say Nigma being bottom team, well, they had a stand-in. It's kind of whatever. They didn't have like a good stand-in for who was lost, right? I think it's easier to replace Kuro with RMN because 5-5 captain to coach. I feel like that's natural. Losing mind control or like losing any of the other four players and having RMN replace them is going to be, I think, a lot harder. But then like Liquid, okay, you had a really long run. You ended up 9th through 12th. That's okay. Secret got 4th. That's good enough. Like, if it wasn't for Alliance, these results would actually be acceptable for Europe.
I just can't wait to see how many people get into the DPC and from what into TI from what region, because it's getting tighter and tighter, and it can change on a dime. Even though there's only so many teams who are left over. Like today, there was some waves being made when Quincy Crew beat EG, really shaking up the NA DPC region, right? And then who might be getting points there and what regional slots. There's a world where South America could very likely have 4 teams at the international, right now, which is wild. Europe is still such a crapshoot because there's 3 matches left and only 2 seeds have been decided, 1 and 8, 2 through 7 still up for grabs out of those 3 matches and tiebreakers, right? And that changes the landscape of so much stuff. And you're not even accounting.
China potentially. Let's go through. So there's this Reddit thread. Possible. How did this only get 129 upvotes? This is insane. Likely TI slot allocations per region based on outstanding games. Somebody did a write up about this. And reading through their logic, I felt like it was pretty good. So I'll just say how many slots they're expecting for each one of these, which is 5 slots for China, 3 slots for South America. All of these are 4 invited teams plus 1. So every region gets a qualifying team at the end of the season, and then the invited team. So when I say 5, it's 4 plus 1. South America, 3 plus 1, which is an interesting twist. CIS, most likely 2 plus 1, which unless Team Spirit does really well at the major, which I think they might have a chance to. I don't know. Virtus Pro is just so much better than everybody else. NA, probably 3 slots. Given what Quincy Crew just did, they probably have secured themselves. If they get first in the group, they've almost guaranteed secured themselves TI just by that alone. And then Europe, Western Europe, is looking at maybe 4 slots. And then Southeast Asia is the worst by far, which is they may end up with 0. It's a very real possibility they end up with 0 teams because no team, like Neon did well at the major, but are not doing well within their own region now. So they got some points, yeah, but they didn't get a whole lot of points for qualifying to the major in the first place. And now they're not going to get any points potentially at all if they don't get into the top 3 slots. And then if all of those Fnatic, teams right? If all those teams just underperform at TI, it's possible that not even Fnatic gets a guaranteed in which case there's only going to be 1 spot from Southeast Asia. And that is going to be the qualifying spot at the very end, which is just insane. And I feel like I've talked to, we've had this conversation a couple times on panel, and we are kind of agreeing that, like, no matter how this shakes up, right, this is not a good system. The regional qualifiers being were just as much. I feel like the way they did that, the regional qualifiers mattering, was because they're scared of 2 different things. They're scared of, 1, a team just being like, fuck it, we're not going to do the first round DPC and show up for a second major, or only play the first DPC, play at the major, and then fucking chill and not playing the second one because we've already secured ourselves. And the other one is that they wanted to make sure that, like, let's just say South America, that team's going to go to the major and doesn't do anything. well, we don't want only one slot. If Beast Coast is dominating South America and they get first 2 times in a row, they should have a guaranteed spot, right? And then, like you'll get +1. I feel like those were two different like concerns that they wanted to make sure, like, okay, because of these different factors, we want to make sure that happen. And then what happens? South America fucking knocks it out of the park at the major. Southeast Asia's like major suffering, and all of a sudden it's exposing like some flaws in the current system.
I think we're going to continue to see flaws of like, there's a world where realistically, I mean, even still, it's not going to happen, but there is a theoretical world where like, so you can go to TI from lower division, right? There's a world where people will perform in season 1, do almost nothing from season 2, and then maybe squeak into TI, or vice versa. Like, I know that they want to weight rewards kind of equally across the seasons, but I don't know if Dota really works like that because of the way that it changes. I think that a system like this kind of works for Counter-Strike, where by and large the game is the same throughout the course of a year when you're doing qualifying points. But when it comes to Dota, you can see a team that can perform really well season 1 pre-patch and then suffer post-patch. Maybe that's kind of what Neon is going through, right?
Yeah. And what's also another interesting thing about this is how you do at TI ends up resulting in how many slots your region gets for the next season of majors, right? If Europe sucks, then Europe's not going to have 4 slots into a major, most likely. They're going to get taken down to 3, most likely, right? If fucking NA wins the major and places second, Quincy Crew versus EG grand finals of TI, then Valve's going to be like, damn, we should kick it up a notch. And they'll give that slot to NA instead. Obviously, that is a fairy tale, and that'll never happen. But... so Southeast Asia only gets 1, maybe 2 teams into TI. Like the chances of one of those teams bombing out is pretty high. The other team not doing well enough to get like top 4 or something, like extremely high. So then boom, it's like Southeast Asia, weak region, 2 slots.
It's like, well, no.
And then the cycle continues.
Yeah, I think that Europe will still index just okay, but it's wild to think that, because I, with bias, still firmly believe that Europe has 6 or 7 teams that could beat most teams in most regions that aren't China.
6 or 7? You really want to include the teams that are going to get relegated?
Dude, I think Brame's pretty... you know what? 6.
Okay, but you're still including Brame in that list.
I will take the top...
Because right now, Tundra is the team that is going to get relegated. We'll see if that actually happens. But...
I've never liked mud golems. Just going to throw that out there.
You mean the neutral creep?
Yes, exactly. It's weird that they split. There's like 6 of them. It's only good if you're playing Alchemist. Fuck that. Or I guess Doom
or
is also
Enchantress.
Okay.
Chen.
Yeah, okay. Well, we're there. There's 4 heroes in that order. I would take the top 6 from Europe over the top 6 from any other region.
I think that is probably fair with the exception of China.
Yes. I think that China would be close.
Hard time.
I think China would be close. I think any other region would be a blowout.
Yeah. Yep.
So
I concur.
And that's why people watch Europe, right?
Yeah. The good thing is like that fairy tale situation that I came up with in my head. I could see, because Valve, I feel like they're not too reactionary. I think they do look at things with a pretty critical lens. I'm not sure if they actually would give NA 4 slots, because I think everyone kind of agrees that NA is a very top-heavy region. So they may actually just keep it at 3 and just be like, we feel like that's reasonable. You guys are really top-heavy. But and then the other thing is that I think Valve, sometimes they're bad at putting out systems at the start, but they do improve on them.
We've talked about that many times, yeah.
Yeah, I think that next year's TI or next year's DPC, if we do it again, will be better, and I think regions will somehow have less weight in them, and majors will have more weight. I would almost want to see points being distributed for 9th through 12th, even if it is just 50 points or something. I feel like you need to just scale it up a little bit.
I still think it's egregious that some of the teams who didn't get points at the major, which will happen again,
Yeah.
Given the format. I think
Liquid
that
would
performing
complain about
on
that.
LAN is more important than the regional qualifiers, but the regional qualifiers are
For
still
sure.
substantial, but I would not rate them and weight them the same. And
Yeah.
it'll be interesting to see all the edge cases that pop up after the major is over. The Annie major with WePlay, by the way, which was also announced. Exciting.
True.
Can't believe Valve signed off on that. They're like, we want to call it the Annie major. And like, I'd be like, what the fuck? Like, our major is not a joke. What are you doing, WePlay?
There's a bit of drama going back behind the scene about some WePlay stuff. Actually, that's not even behind the scene, right? The 1xBet thing that kind of went through the fighting game scene. The fighting game scene, two developers just fucking dissolved themselves from their relationship with WePlay and said, nope, not about that anymore. Yeah, 1xBet is also a problem that's currently in the industry. WePlay and ESL, I think, both have partnerships with that. Fortunately, in this situation, Valve have said a hard no to betting sponsors ever being a part of the DPC. Another thing that Valve has maintained a certain philosophy about. They hate betting companies, and they are loath to allow betting companies in our industry at all. And so they don't allow them for Valve events specifically. They didn't want to allow them for teams.
That one proved hard.
Which teams were like, excuse me, bitch? Like, what? Like, get the fuck out of here. What do you mean? We're going to lose our betting sponsor. Our betting sponsor is like fucking 80% of our revenue. What do you mean? I just made that number up, by the way. I have no idea, but I do know betting sponsors are very important.
It's very lucrative. They have money to spend because they make a lot of money because casinos.
Yes. Possibly illegal casinos.
Thoughts on Annie Major?
Annie Major? Looking forward to it. I think that is hitting a WePlay sweet spot. I think WePlay has been good for the Dota scene, and I think Omega League was a great product. I think other WePlay events that I've been to have been amazing. They shit out money, which is one thing that makes a good event, but they also have good people behind the scene who come up with interesting ideas.
I'm gonna look into my crystal ball and just think like a month or so into the future, and I bet this major is gonna happen, and I'm gonna go, Cap, how does this company make money? And you're gonna look at me and you're gonna go, Joey, I don't know, but they pay me. And that conversation will come soon on a Side Pull podcast, 3 to 5 weeks in the future.
I mean, okay. So in this, remember the last time we had this conversation? There's a new wrinkle to being added. It's very hard to tell the difference between VC money, because it's just money given to you, so you fucking throw it out like it's been printed, and then also laundered money, which is very similar situation, right? They like. The responsibility you have over that money is very similar, and so you're going to spend it in similar ways. And same goes with crypto money. Now that crypto's really blowing up, people are just printing out money out there, and it is allowing people to spend that money with. So
did you ask to get paid with Ethereum?
Thought. Yeah. Pay me in that sweet crypto, baby. But yeah, that's a new wrinkle to that, is that those three things, they look very similar from an outside perspective, or even a slightly inside perspective, as a talent being paid. It's like all those things look the same. All I know is that you have a lot of money and you're spending a lot of it, and you're not necessarily making any money back. So,
but again, you got rent to pay.
I got rent to pay.
Can I actually keep on talking about fucking dumb shit tournament organizers for a second?
Yeah, hit it up.
Have you been looking at Counter-Strike Twitter over the last day?
Oh yeah, that's some real drama over there,
dude. It's like we had a problem, and then Counter-Strike was like, "Oh no, we have a problem."
All right, you break it down. What happened?
So my understanding of this is a little bit fresh. I only educated myself on it tonight. So please fill any gaps if I'm incorrect. Flashpoint, who is running a Counter-Strike event, had an issue with Ninjas in Pajamas and another team that is less important than Ninjas in Pajamas.
Much less important. Much less important.
Yes, in the sense that you don't know their name. And I also don't know their name. And it's probably rude that I don't know their name because I read it.
I've read their name like 3 times, and I still don't remember their name.
Yeah. They had a scheduled match to play. Game starts. NIP, crazy ping and packet lost. Technical pause. They try and fix the thing. The thing won't get fixed. They have to play the game. Game happens. Technical people... after game, still trying to figure out what's wrong with said game. They realize that the server that Flashpoint was playing on was not compatible with the ISP of Ninjas in Pajamas, causing Ninjas in Pajamas to not be able to play the game at a fair play state. They say, well, should probably remake the game, right? Should probably do a rematch. This wasn't fair. Other teams like, no, fuck you, we won. Ninjas in Pajamas is like, well, I'd really like to play that game. Tournament organizer shits the bed worse than ESL shat the bed over the whole alliance thing somehow. They made ESL DreamHack look competent in their solution problem solving.
Up.
Dude.
Yeah.
Dude, I think that people are going to forgive ESL, or they'll gloss over it, or like the DPC is going to keep on happening, like whatever. It's going to be like a meme point in history in Dota. But Flashpoint, which does not nearly have the clout as say ESL does, they have a PR problem in the sense that they really fucked up this tournament by putting out incomprehensible, incorrect tweets, by asking teams to do different things at different times, by not having a clear rule book, by not dictating the rules clearly about what they needed to be doing. Like, whatever we were complaining about last week, which we could talk about passionately and poetically because it's something you're directly involved in and I am attached to in the sense of Dota. I listening to people talk about how fucked up Flashpoint is almost makes me forget about ESL.
Yeah, no, that was a big boy fuck up. There was even the recent tweet that they deleted where they're like, they say Ninjas in Pajamas offered Anonymous a rematch instead of Flashpoint or our admins. It's so comical that it just makes it look like Ninjas in Pajamas is like literally running the situation.
NIP had pretty good PR on the issue. I think that they actually had a really interesting series of tweets that explained the full timeline to everybody as they saw it. And I think that I think that maybe NIP can get some slight flack here for not just being like, well, shitty situation, let's take the high road. They still want to play the game instead of just like taking the high road, right? Which you can probably argue back or forth about, but it's wild how funny Flashpoint was here with dropping a ball. This week, people just be fucking up in esports TO world. I guess that's what's going on.
Yep. You want to talk about one more potential fuck up?
Sure.
All right. We got the fan bundles in, baby, just in time for the end of the second season. Now, to Valve's credit, they made it go through until TI starts. So it will actually, it may even be longer than what you normally would get the fan bundle for. So it's finally here. It didn't make it in time for the first season or the start of the second season, but it's finally here towards the end of the second season, and it's I would say okay. But the most egregious thing is the fucking price point. Oh my god.
This is a tricky topic for me.
Yeah.
This is a tricky topic for me.
Yeah.
Because I helped direct the creation of the Team Liquid fan pack.
Mm-hmm.
Right. I helped. I came up with a lot of the sprays and emojis with the team. Yeah. I created the promotional pieces that people seem to like on Reddit. My favorite Reddit comment from the last week with all this shit is the video where Taiga Tommy was doing art, and someone in that thread's like, man, there's all this coaching bullshit going on, but Liquid's just over here doing weird shit. And I'm kind of here for it. And I'm like, yeah, my guy. I helped, test stuff and, get voice lines and suggest the voice lines that we pitched to Valve. And I was very, very involved with the Team Liquid process. Mm-hmm. I know that a lot of teams are unhappy for a lot of reasons, some of which may or may not get solved. I would assume that nothing's going to get solved. I think that actually Valve may have gotten some cover here by the ESL drama, because if you recall, what happened on Tuesday last week, which we referenced in Thursday's show last episode, is I was on a rant about like, oh man, then Tuesday happened. And the entire rest of that show, we only talked about the ESL Alliance side of Tuesday. We didn't talk about the fact that the fan packs launched and people were pissed. Which we can probably do an hour on in and of itself, so I'm going to try and condense it. I know that people are not super excited about a couple things, like the price point, which the fans are saying, the time duration, when stuff was released, what teams got stuff in and didn't get stuff in because they didn't submit stuff on time, and ultimately, I think that there is nothing but the best intent here from Valve. I think that I think that there is a good idea here, and I want to give them credit because at a base level, they're taking what was the penance. They're taking team support. They're doing something and they're iterating on it and making it better and something that is for the teams, which is desperately needed in the Dota scene. I don't think Dota teams make money.
Yeah,
really.
No.
So there's a reason why there's only so many teams that have big sponsors and like traditional esports teams in the space, right? Because it's hard to make money. This is a way to potentially fix that. I think there's great intentions
I have
here.
friends in the team organization, Charlie's now a part of Luminosity. Melk is a part of 100 Thieves. I ask him, you guys gonna get into Dota? And they're like, no, fuck that.
Yeah, I can hear that in Charlie's voice, but like the exactly what you were saying, and I think that as soon as you release this and it's not a good product for the consumer, and the biggest problem there is the timed duration of stuff mixed with the price point. And the price point probably being the egregious one that you see most people complaining about, that I would also agree about. Suddenly you take something that was potentially highly impactful for teams, and because the community now sees in a negative light, the teams aren't getting really any ROI on it, or as much as they potentially could have if it was maybe cheaper or marketed better or explained better. also, people were upset when they released these. They also said that they wasn't going to be a battle pass proper, right? So people are mad about them not being a battle pass. I think that this is like the shitty replacement for a battle pass. They think these are too expensive. They don't think they last long enough. And they kind of turn into like a joke and a punching bag. And that's probably ultimately fine if they don't succeed right out the gate. But I think a lot of teams saw this as an opportunity to do something good for themselves, and now that's potentially not the case, right? Without some kind of adjustments. I don't know if Valve's going to make adjustments. I don't know what V2 looks like. I don't know if there's going to be edit on V1, but I can surmise that there are just teams and organizations that are like less than thrilled about how the rollout happened, which is mirrored by the fact that the community is on whole less than thrilled about how the rollout happened.
Yeah. No, it's a frequent reminder how much more players make than like the average person. When I see players like, and they've got like 5 different teams of those things, and I'm just sitting there like, that's over $100 for temporary lines. I'm like, of course it works for them because like Dota is their business and stuff. It works for me. I bought a fan bundle, Go Arkosh. I'm only going to buy the one because it's temporary, unlike the Battle Pass where it gives me something permanent. But, you know, like...
So you just have a gold Arkosh thing, that's it?
Yeah, I have a gold Arkosh thing because I want the voice lines. And that is it. But yeah, the price point is just... It feels like it's way too high for something that is temporary. I understand that, like, Valve, I think, was very ambitious in putting this together in the first place. They're obviously trying to create something that is automated that can continue on for years to come without them having to like be very hands-on. But it's very ambitious because it's a lot of content that goes into the Dota game. So I understand that it needs to be temporary. Otherwise, you're just filling up with a bunch of shit lines and shit sprays.
Could you imagine if it's not temporary and then you do a new one every 3 months for 2 years and then suddenly every team has like 20 sprays in the game?
Yeah,
right?
Yeah. That's that is definitely a problem. So I think it does need to be temporary. I don't think I would want something permanent because even if it's just like one line or something being permanent, it's just too much extra shit. I think the idea is super cool. The fact that like players and stuff can like put their faces inside of the game or their voices inside of the game gives personality to the teams, which is sorely missing. Which is made very apparent by the fact that that many teams' bundles are not selling that well. I know that Arkosh is actually one of the best selling because it went viral in China.
I know. My understanding is that Arkosh is selling well. Acer is selling well because there's not a lot of Chinese teams that have one. There's a small
EG's is probably selling well.
EG's is selling well because of RTZ. There's a small contingent that has four Zoomers selling well because there's a small subset of memers think the Suns fan stuff's really funny.
Yeah.
I think the Liquid one's doing okay.
You guys saw
confirm or deny
a bump, right? The video content. Did you guys sell a lot more because of the video content?
I actually do not know.
Okay.
So I cannot confirm or deny because I don't know.
But I heard that you guys did. So, which I think is really cool, the fact that your video content directly correlated into increased sales.
Well, if that's the case, then I got to talk to Victor about paying me more money. You hearing that, Victor?
I mean, maybe it's coincidence, but yeah, I think like Valve rolled out a really cool idea. The execution just isn't quite perfect, very likely because in some ways they're kind of rushing. And one of the things that like very clearly there's something fucked up, and I think the number is almost perfect that says both sides fucked up. 17 teams initially got in, right? 17 teams. 17 teams managed to make this happen and put out content. So teams obviously fucked up. If 17 people can manage to figure it out and were paying attention, then teams obviously fucked up. But at the same time, only 17 teams made it through. And there's like 90 or some shit that are supposed to.
There's 16 in 5 regions, right?
Yeah, something
Europe,
like
Europe,
that.
China,
So,
C, South America,
80.
North America, 6.
So is that 80 or no? That's
96
that was
teams.
60.
96 teams.
Yeah. Okay. So 96 teams, right? Only 17 out of 96 made it in. So like there must be something fucked up on Valve's side as well. I
wonder
don't
how
really
many
know,
teams-
but like that number perfectly encapsulates it for me.
I wonder how many teams submitted something and then got denied.
I think there's probably at least like 20 teams that probably didn't submit anything at all, right?
I would
Lower
bet there's more than that.
teams
I would set my
yeah.
floor higher than that for sure. I would say half
Yeah.
the teams submitted nothing.
Okay, I bet that's probably true as well, which means you're probably left with half or maybe even more than half of the teams did not make it into the game. That actually submitted stuff. Whether or not, the files were incorrect. Didn't you say something about that you guys had to resubmit?
Basically the upload is quasi-automated in the sense that you have to submit the right file types, and it does like some kind of checking to make sure that you're submitting the right stuff, and then you'll know if stuff works. So
Yeah.
I bet that there's a bunch of teams who, I think that we're going to see more teams come in because teams did not submit on time for the first rollout, right? And then a bunch of teams submitted shortly thereafter and got in the second rollout. And now there's teams who are going to be in the third or fourth wave. I bet the third wave will probably be large. I bet this week we'll see a large third wave that'll probably see maybe 20 more teams get added in. I would love to know all the information about like how many teams had cut content. Like you see teams that have less than 3 voice lines, right? Does that mean they only submitted 3 and then one of them was like egregious? Does that mean,
Probably.
There's also stuff
how many did you guys submit, out of curiosity?
I would love to do a write-up on this. We submitted, you can submit up to 10, I think.
Yeah.
And we submitted 10.
Yeah, we submitted 10 as well.
Because we only submitted 4 sprays. We only submitted 3 emojis because we were confident that all 3 were like totally fine, and we didn't want to make more because it's a real pain in the ass.
Yeah.
So we submitted 3 emojis, we submitted 4 sprays, so there was 1 to like have a choice from, and then we submitted 10 voice lines because we had no idea what was acceptable and what wasn't acceptable. We had no idea. And also, some of the voice lines that like from the video people liked weren't the ones that got in. Like, apparently there's a large contingent of people that really would have liked, I'm a cute little bear. Right?
Or Tyga's rolling boulder.
That's my favorite.
I was just like, people want that? Him just going.
Mouthful of fucking cough drops. Anywho, like, so I think, and I lightly complained about this on Reddit too, that now we have guardrails for what isn't acceptable, and now it's just going to be this round 2 is going to come around. There's going to be this giant game of teams trying to figure out what they can and can't do, and trying to push the envelope. Because I think whoever gets the closest to the meme line without stepping over and being disqualified wins.
Arteezy, meme line, right? That sticker, that's a fucking meme line, but it fits into EG brand so perfectly because it's Arteezy. So it's like that is like exactly perfect. It's exactly perfect because it's a meme that's tied with evil geniuses, so there's no way Valve can say no to, right?
But the thing is that I hate the spray because it's deep fried, and like it looks shitty. Like I think
I don't know why it turned out so shit.
Because I think it's intended to look shitty.
Yeah.
There's no way they submitted that with like, oh wow, this doesn't look very good. Like they intended it to look bad, right? And it doesn't have to look bad. Like you can make a clean cutout from that GIF. You can do other stuff to it. You can edit that to make it better, right? But like they chose to make it shitty, and that was okay.
Did you just call it a GIF?
A GIF. I like peanut butter. I can't eat peanuts. It's so low quality. Like that means that you're allowed to get away with low quality stuff. I'm also not a fan of the Suns fan face. And not because I have an issue with Suns fan or NA Dota or Four Zoomers. I think that it like puts it's like toting a really weird line.
It's a bit of a like a non sequitur, right, to the team. It's not tied in with them. I mean, fucking, I can't say shit because, you know, Arkosh is like a weird team where we like literally make up our own lore. So like technically anything we put in could be said, well, that's part of the lore of the team. That's part of my character's identity. You know, that's what Cadus Vulpus does or whatever the fuck. You know, like it's actually such a fucking unique situation.
Yeah, I think that I still do not like the fact that there were not hard or fast or any kind of guardrails. I think that it would have been better if there were some guardrails. Also, like, you know, we submitted a bunch of ASA lines. Like, one got in, and it was like, okay, I guess that was the one that was deemed best. Like, how many of our submissions
what line would have wanted in?
There's one where it's like, Puck, I can't believe you've done this. And he says puck instead of fuck.
That's pretty good. It's pretty good. Where was that for this line from?
I don't know. I think I have no idea.
Was that Asa or was that one of the players?
That was Asa.
Okay. That's pretty good.
So like, I wish I could know, were all of my 10 voice lines acceptable? So if I would have just submitted any 3 of those 10, they would have gotten in.
Yeah.
Or
it seems like swearing, even muted swearing, is a no-go. So
yes, and no like censored swearing.
Yeah, we did surprise motherfucker, but because you know we figured like, oh, Valve did it with the frog cover up noise, and we were like, okay, we'll just do that too. Maybe it's acceptable, maybe it's not. That's why we submitted 10 voice lines, because there's some definitely ones that are pretty borderline.
I don't know. It was I'm not stoked about the Arteezy thing. I'm really excited for teams who are getting some press, like the cut when people are memeing on their wallpaper, which is like objectively bad, but also fun, I guess. People like that.
Yeah.
I would love to see if that increased sales for them. Probably it's $20 for that wallpaper. That's temporary though. So you know, that comes back to the problem. I think that I stand by that. I think that Team Liquid, Arkosh, Beast Coast, some of Alliances and some of EG's stuff is the best stuff that's in the game.
Yeah. The a side note, Valve said no to our player portraits.
You're allowed to say no to this?
I mean, because, well, obviously it wasn't portraits of the actual players. It was portraits of Slags in the various masks that we made for the Arkosh video. So it would have just been those. Think how funny that would be if you just clicked on the Arkosh video. There's some dude with a fucking goat mask just fucking staring back at you. That would have been so funny.
I don't know why they would deny that.
Because, well, I think it sets a precedent, right? At that point in time, it's similar to like the initial ruling of like, okay, like the players should be able to know who the actual their opponents should be able to know who the actual players are. And I think that's fair enough. I mean, because I think it sets a dangerous precedent for the rest of the community. Even if Arkosh is not like a serious affair, like you still have to treat it that rules that you set for them set a precedent for everybody else.
Hold on. Not a serious affair? Do you mean the next Division 2 team to be promoted to Division 1 North America is not a, quote, serious affair? Do you know how many NA DPC games I've watched this season? 4.
All the Arkosh ones?
I've watched 4. And 3 of them were Arkosh's games. Do you know how many NA DPC games I lost last season? I watched?
How many?
3, because I watched both seasons. The only games I cared about in the NADPC,
EG Quincy Crew. Yeah.
No. Were the Arkosh versus Dogchamp games, because both seasons those were the games that decided Arkosh's promotion.
Oh man, see, this is the kind of stuff that like there's that bit of drama where Luki went on stream and like flamed his own team and stuff. It's like you don't get salty. about like the Arkosh thing. Don't get real salty about the Arkosh thing. Get drama salty.
Did that happen today?
You know, get like
did Luke do that today?
Get like no. That was last season. That was like way back when fucking Arkosh did their really fucked up thing where they bet their slot at BTS or whatever the fuck. It was that time area. But yeah, like he went on and like flamed his own team at some point in time. He also, thought the whole Arkosh thing was pretty bullshit, and I don't disagree with that. That was pretty bullshit. But the thing is that like this is an opportunity for your own brand to get like a lot of exposure, because like Arkosh is like this weird meme that people are naturally want to be able to watch and tune into, because I think it's a well built, like totally fucking unique team identity thing that is like this weird experiment. And if you fucking build into that WWE style, then your brand is also going to, and well, like now all of a sudden like Dogchamp versus Arkosh is like this weirdly fucking hype matchup.
Yeah, because I
like,
want fucking Ray
salty.
Lisa to eat shit, like.
Yeah, like you fucking buy into this thing. You gotta buy into it. It's very much like WWE. You need to be able to buy into it and remember that this is fake manufactured drama that is just purely good for television, because even the viewers are aware that it's fake drama, but it's still fun.
Did you get to watch Game 3?
I did not. I was passed out. For anybody who wonder, I am not on Arkosh. All right, I just want to make that totally clear. But I am a part of the organization. Because I helped found.
Wow, I'm friends with Slacks. I'm so cool. My name's Cap. You should check out Game 3 if you got some moments. Just like eat breakfast.
It was a bit of a shit show.
Eat breakfast. Watch Game 3.
Anyway.
Eat breakfast and watch Game 3. You'll
but
probably.
Yes, I stand by my statement that is a mean team that.
I'm happy Arkosh is selling fan packs, right? I think that's really cool.
Yeah, me too.
I think it's really interesting to see what isn't as successful with fan packs. I think that the price point is a real motherfucker that's making a meme, and I don't know how Valve fixes that aside from just making everything cheaper later, right?
Yeah, if it was just $1, $5, $10, I would feel way better about it.
Yeah, I would feel I would not have this conversation. I'm not Valve. I don't have their economics data. I can't in good faith say, oh well, if they all were half price, we would just sell more. I can say that if it was half price, people wouldn't be complaining about it.
Yeah. And like we just don't know like what Valve's reasoning is for applying this. It could be they fucking ran their data and they're like, this is the optimal price point to get the most amount of dollars out of customers. Like this will make both us and the teams the most amount of money, which is I think a
that's
very nice
probably
way.
what happened.
Or it could be, or it could be they price gated a little bit, so they're like, that means more people will buy our stuff, battle pass stuff. Next year's battle pass, like make sure more people are buying battle passes than fan bundles. I don't think so, but it's like we just don't know the reasoning behind Valve doing it. And might be they did it, they just felt like that was the most optimal. But like my gut reaction was like, oof. I have an incentive to buy the Arkosh one, and I went oof. Because nothing's permanent, so I was just like,
I haven't decided if I'm gonna
for like 6 weeks.
I haven't decided if I'm gonna put those $20 in my company expenses. Be like, I need to buy this for work.
True, I can do that on all my tax expenses.
Dude, it's
my job is video games. Hell yeah.
I wish it was cheaper. I'm happy, and now there's this weird thing where like I'm really happy with the product we made. I genuinely think that we made a better product than basically every other team. I would go far as to say that I think we have I think that we have the best package. I think we have the best drawn wallpaper. I think that I
don't even know what our wallpaper is.
They're pretty bad. The wallpaper. I think that
nobody cares about the wallpaper though.
I know. People just care about the voice lines, right? That's all that really matters.
Oh, can I actually? I think it's just kind of interesting. I said that Arkosh went viral in China, and for people who want some insight into that, so apparently a popular meme streamer in China went through the voice lines, and of course he found the meme line in the Arkosh one, Omae wa mo shinderu, and picked that up. And so like that got like a huge amount of popularity because this very big meme streamer in China was using it, and therefore like a whole bunch of other people were exposed to the meme line, right? And therefore people bought it. And then on top of that, apparently a famous Chinese TikToker also picked up on it and made a thing about it as well. So 2 different ways that it went viral in China. So I just thought that was interesting. Power of memes.
That is really cool.
Yeah.
The power of memes made Jake a lot of money.
Yeah, it did. Yeah, so I thought that was pretty interesting. And there was one other thing I wanted to talk about before.
I think it's interesting that more teams did it. I expected more teams to do some type of promotional content for their stuff.
Yeah.
I was surprised that we were the only ones who like had something pre-planned out. I wonder if we'll see more next time, if someone will follow that lead, or if more people will be like, yeah, fuck that.
I know Arkosh is doing it, but because the pack is selling well by itself, we're kind of
exactly.
Waiting. We're waiting to drop the second. Hey, did you guys know this is here? Slacks already made a funny video about it, which is fucking what Slacks does best. It's very similar. For Zoomers, like they just used Suns Fan to sell more packs. It's like very similar. Or Arkosh's, and half of Arkosh's identity is tied into Slacks is a really funny guy. Pretty funny.
I'm really
Pretty
hoping
funny how that works.
My plan is to Asa is at the Europe facility with the team this week. So if I can do something with him, because people don't know that that's him.
For Asa for the nice word, bro. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
People know that's him, and that one I'm actually still seeing on Reddit of people being like, "Nice word, bro." So like I know that there's some traction there, but I really want to blow people's minds of like, is that the Ender's Game dude who did that?
Yeah, that was a bit of a shame that nobody realizes that. But I know somebody even tweeted out they thought it was Taiga. I remember that happened this morning or something.
Taiga,
like,
who
no,
sounds
that's none of the players.
Taiga doesn't speak that clearly.
Yeah, that is true.
Anywho, I'm gonna round this out and stop complaining and actually say that I did something finally.
Yeah.
I did something finally. I listened to all of the backlog that I had of the Cap and Blitz podcast while I was working out over the weekend and riding my bike. And you know what? I had a good time. Some more people should go listen to those.
Huh. Yeah. It's this is the drama whoring podcast, of course, and that one's a little bit more interview analytical style, I would guess. But of course, this is the drama whoring podcast where we do anything for views, because that's the way we roll over here. That's why you've heard of the Side Pole podcast so often. It's because we're just fucking drama whoring over here.
Yeah, we're big drama llamas. It's interesting because
also don't put this shit on Reddit, guys. What the fuck? We got one rule, all right? When I say that rule, it was specifically meant for this sort of stuff. All right, I can't be real with you guys and sit here and talk. If every single time I reveal something that is like slightly negative, you can't just go to fucking Reddit on it. Like, I just want to sit here and have a good time with Joey and put on like a pretty good show and give you guys a little bit of insight into behind the scenes stuff. And like, if I have to worry about like, if I have to curate my language and make sure everything's PC. And like available for release to the broad public, then the show is going to get a whole lot less interesting. So you want to put it on Reddit? Put it up on Reddit and say, yo, there was we could have put this last episode up on Reddit. Cap and Joey have a fucking in-depth breakdown of the fucking drama that happened. You could have gone for the first half where we have a whole bunch of nuanced takes about what the drama was and why nobody walked away from that clean, and give you a little extra insight behind the scene and shit. You know, you could have posted it on Reddit that way, but instead I asked Joey afterwards. I had doubts about whether or not we should just cut the last half of that show because I was like, I don't really want to fucking. I don't want to have drama. I just needed to be able to like fucking speak my mind because something was bothering me, and that's the way I do it. I do it here with Joey. But if y'all just keep putting this shit on Reddit, like for fucking drama whoring fucking upvotes,
you made the Alliance.
I can't
fans
do
mad.
it.
You made the Alliance fans mad.
It's okay.
Now Kelly's gonna block you on Twitter.
I wasn't following her to begin with.
See, don't say that on Reddit. You can't put that on Reddit. You can't timestamp that and put it on Reddit. No, we went so long. We went so long without that happening.
Yes.
I think it was just it was extra.
Like I had that. I was pretty hard on like I've been talking about ESL and shit and like how like we haven't had no updated graphics and how ridiculous that is and shit, right? Like if you guys went and put that on Reddit and like it goes highly upvoted, then there's a chance that like ESL sees it and then like my relationship with ESL is slightly damaged, right? Possibly. I mean, probably not. Like I would stand by that. I'm going to write a write-up after this season is done and tell them in a very professional manner what everything, that was wrong. But like if you guys just like take this sort of stuff and throw it up on Reddit and I have to worry about my relationships within the scene, then we can't do this anymore. So don't do that. I'm not here to stir up drama. It's not what this Night Bull podcast is about. It's about Joey and I just broing out and releasing.
Except when you explicitly, clearly stir up drama.
True.
Our show is going to turn into more stories about me shitting in public and less stories about behind the scenes Dota takes.
Yeah. I mean, I felt like this show had been like getting a little boring in some ways, and it's because I didn't have any stories to tell about LAN events. Our both of our lives are just less interesting during COVID, so it's like I remember thinking real hard. Yeah, I mean we were trying to make it entertaining and stuff, but it was just like there just naturally weren't stories to tell because neither one of us are going out in the world. So
yeah, and that does even go both ways. I mean, while you have some BTS stuff to share from that world, like I try not to bite my tongue about too much stuff from my job or the team side of stuff that I don't really want to dance around because I don't necessarily want 100% of that disclosed, but I feel like it's interesting information for the people who continue to listen to the show. I think that we also have the benefit of doing that because, it is, we never talk about this, but every week more people listen. Both on the podcast feed and like in terms of like YouTube subscriber count and like stuff like that and people who listen like that, right? Every week, consistently, with the exception of like a couple episodes that are probably objectively worse than all the other ones, more people listen, right? So it's really nice that we're able to talk to everyone about all this stuff. Like it's super awesome just have a platform, right? Like that's a privilege and a half. But there does get to a point where it's like, what is saying too much?
Yeah. Especially since we're not trying to make this podcast big. It'd be cool if it was, of course, but like we're not making any money off the podcast anymore.
If we wanted,
that was the first year.
If we wanted to do that, we would just be more inflammatory. Like there's a way. Like I'm sure that we can make Reddit threads 2 a month. Be considerate. I'm sure that we could easily make a Reddit thread a month where we drive people to the show because either you got some spicy thing or I got some spicy thing or I, call Loda fuckwad or what have you, right? Like, we can do that. But that's not the goal.
That's the title of the Reddit thread now. Joey Beefeater calls Loda fuckwad.
Yeah, he would almost certainly respond poorly on Twitter.
Yeah, he would read the Reddit comments and not watch the video and then make a response formulated on that.
Well, okay. Next week, we'll be back. The show, I'm going to bet, will be shorter. because we'll only have DPC stuff to talk about. DPC will be wrapped next week, which will be super interesting. I'm going to have a fucking mild cardiac moment knowing that our game's on Wednesday and Liquid could still get 2nd or 6th. Whatever. And we'll get there, but thank you everybody for hanging out with us. Both the new people who were here because of last week, or the people who just liked to hang out with us anyways. Both of y'all are super cool. Except for the people who think that we're objectively worse than some fans considering. Fuck you guys. It's a different style. We do art, okay? That's fine.
This is performative art.
Yeah, this is performative art. It's whatever. Yeah, so thank you. And don't post it on Reddit.
Just post great episode of the SciPol podcast.
Man, they're still doing them, right? It's so good. They've gotten better.
Yeah, just do that.